Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Business Incorporated. I am Bo Sinamafayewe. Thank you very much for finding time to be with us here on the program from Channels Television, Nigeria's news leader. Nigeria's president, about 3 hours ago, presented the 2016 budget to the Congress, proposing a total expenditure of a record 6.08 trillion naira. And a Dutch appeal court rules that Royal Dutch Shell can be held liable for oil spills at its subsidiary in Nigeria. Plus, French distribution group CFAO opens first shopping mall in Ivory Coast that's worth $66 million. Let's bring you the details. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari today presented the 2016 appropriations to the National Assembly, proposing a total expenditure plan of 6.08 trillion naira. That's more than $35 billion. The budget assumption is made up of oil benchmark of $38 per barrel, a 2.2 million barrels per day oil production for the next fiscal year, and a gross domestic product growth rate of 4.37%. The federal government expects to spend 1.8 trillion naira on capital projects. About 2.35 trillion naira will be channeled into recurrent expenditure, while revenue is projected at 3.86 trillion, leaving a deficit of 2.22 trillion naira, and that's about 2.1% of the entire budget. We'll talk more about the new appropriation later on the program. So let's talk about the Northern Hemisphere, where the winter season is now at its peak, biting really hard, and the impact is on energy prices. You've seen oil prices down about 37% since the year started. As we speak, oil is now rebounding around $35 a barrel, up about 0.75% as we speak for the U.S. crude. Gold is also recovering, but quite a lot of story from the commodities market. So let's get a sense of these and other stories making the rounds from the European and the global market space as we bring in DWTV financial correspondent for Channels Television at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, Ulrich Bartz. Ulrich, good afternoon. Thank you very much for finding time to be with us. The winter season at the Northern Hemisphere is biting really hard. So the question is it really true that Germans have a free energy few days to Christmas they're not paying for? We apologize there, Ulrich Bartz in the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. We lost that audio contact there, a bit patchy, but we'll talk about that later. This story around is that the winter season is really biting hard in the Northern Hemisphere, impacting energy prices for households and businesses as we get to the peak of the season. We'll talk about the energy story, and of course we'll also get an update on the Deutsche Bank Russia trade story reaching about $10 billion. Was this concern for traders and investors in the German largest lender there? Let's get back to Ulrich Bartz now and see if we got a better audio quality. Ulrich, we apologize for that patchy audio contact earlier. Are you part of the Germans benefiting from a free energy gas market ahead of Christmas?
The free energy market ahead of Christmas, nobody's really benefiting from that, I think. We're having a very mild winter here. That is that the energy consumption will be a bit lower. It will reduce the energy bill. But there's really no free energy at the moment. The mild winter means, of course, that there's a few problems for retailers who are selling heavy sweaters or big, bulky winter coats. They're not moving at all, hardly. But free energy for the moment is not a topic here.
So who's benefiting from the record low crude oil prices, Ulrich? The listed energy companies like RWE or the airlines like Lufthansa?
Yeah, the energy companies are not really benefiting from the low energy prices. They're under pressure. The lower the energy prices go, the less they make a profit. But basically, almost every other company here on the list of issues listed here in Frankfurt is benefiting from this. Industry, services, everyone has a take. If you look at Volkswagen, for example, a share that's been under pressure, lower energy prices, good for car sales. People might grab a bigger model. Also, the company as a whole has a less pricey tab for all the energy that it needs to drive those huge machines that press metal into cars. If you look at BASF, a chemical company, uses lots of oil, a major raw material, it benefits. And of course, Lufthansa, the jet fuel is inexpensive, and that's one of the big reasons why Lufthansa is having a very, very good year despite all those strikes that have affected hundreds of thousands of passengers this year.
Ulrich, looks like folks on the trading floor are really happy about today's trading day. So, bring us up to speed on the Deutsche Bank's Russia trade issue now breaching $10 billion. Is this a concern for traders and investors looking at Deutsche Bank, one of your most capitalized listed lender?
It certainly is a concern. You rightly say the Deutsche Bank is the major bank here in Germany, and it's struggling. This thing in Russia is not the only legal case that it has that could cost a lot of money, but this is one of the big ones. And people fear that it will cost a lot of money because the sum that's being discussed is getting bigger and bigger. Today we have that Reuters report you mentioned, $10 billion, and at issue is the accusation or the supposition that the Deutsche Bank helped, through its Moscow office, Russians launder money through stock market transactions. Illegal, of course, possibly profitable at the time for the bank. It's hard to imagine that the bank didn't check or notice when such large sums were in question. The bank itself won't comment on the most recent news, and that's unsatisfactory for us as journalists. We want to report the story, but it's, on the other hand, understandable because each and every comment they make will be heard by the U.S. authorities, who are very, very strict and can impose stiff penalties, even if they utter a wrong word in such a statement.
Well, that's really understandable. Thank you very much, Ulrich. We'll be back tomorrow. Countdown to Christmas, and we'll still ask the question if Santa Claus will come to the Frankfurt Stock Exchange where you are. Let's leave it at that for today. I'll see you tomorrow. Ulrich Batz, the financial correspondent, DWTV for Channels Television at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. When we come back, the EcoBank Transnational Incorporated has named a new helmsman for the Nigeria unit. He will be taking office in January 2016. A new statement from the Pan-African lender just in. Then we'll try to digest a little bit more of President Buhari's budgetary statement ended about 3 hours ago. We'll get all of that into the second segment of the program. We'll be right back. You don't want to miss that.